Not the answer to street violence. David Stewart has this report.
Activist priest Father Michael Flager wants Governor Rauner to declare a state of emergency and bring in the Guard to patrol the streets. Rauner says that while he shares Father Flager's belief that more should be done to curb gun violence in Chicago, the National Guard isn't the answer.
We've talked about it with community leaders. We've talked with the police officers about it. No thoughtful leader thinks that's a good idea or would really provide a solution. In fact, it may exacerbate other problems.
Rauner says the state's already helping with state police patrols on city expressways and technical expertise in criminal investigations. David Stewart, Chicago.
Finally, Samsung says it is delaying delivery of shipments of its Galaxy Note 7 smartphone to conduct additional quality control testing. The tech giant did not explain what the testing involves or which markets are affected. The new phone was launched in South Korea and other markets earlier this month, and some local media reported the phone's battery exploded. For USA Radio News, I'm Jules McKinney.
Hey, it's Rusty Home.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live. You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Gillier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. I want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield today, and really excited tonight. It's actually somewhat bittersweet. Got a new chapter of my life starting next week. On Monday, Labor Day, we're launching the new radio stream for Lanterns Radio Network. Really, really excited about that. And I guess the more bitter part of it is my cycle through the WGSO 990 AM tour, if you will, is coming to an end, and it's been a really, really great opportunity for the Battlefield Live and myself, and I've really been able to talk to a lot of just really great patriots and a lot of really nice people, and my first thoughts are to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to be able to do this now for seems like several months. And, of course, thank you to Jeff and all the folks, and to Trey as well, who is doing his best to serve his community at the moment. So with that said, what I want to do tonight is I want to do something that we've never done here before. I want to kind of open up the doors, if you will, to some conversation and any questions that you may have. I mean, it's my last night. There may be some things that you wanted me to talk about and you wanted me to mention and I haven't gotten to yet. You're welcome to call me, 504-556-9696. We'll kind of open up the phones and let you all drive the show. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to best articulate what this new step is for me. That's coming up very soon with Lanterns Radio Network. And let me clarify what Lanterns Radio Network is. I started Lanterns of Liberty 8 years ago. And actually, was it 8 years ago? No, not quite. It was almost 8 years ago. Started actually as another name, but the whole premise behind Lanterns was illuminating the truth, was about trying to get rid of the politics and bringing in the philosophy of what America was all about, what made America great, things of that nature. And we've never wavered from that. We've been through a lot of ups and downs. There's been periods where I've kind of taken a hiatus where I wasn't writing as much, and which really the way it started was me writing. In fact, as crazy as it may sound, I was very shy on getting in front of people. In fact, I remember my first speech that I gave in front of the Tea Party, the Greater New Orleans Tea Party at the time. I think it was like in 2009 or 10. I think it might have been 2010. It was like the 4th of July rally. Mary Cass from the Greater New Orleans Tea Party asked me to speak on behalf of the group, or at least to the group. And I was so nervous. I remember sweating. I invited my family because I thought, they'd probably never seen me this passionate and this outgoing before, because I tend to be a very private individual, at least, out on the public stage. In other words, I wasn't out putting myself in front of people. I was an artist at one time, but by having, having a family, and being worried about the path of the country at the time of the 2008, economic troubles we had, and the ushering in of a very progressive president, Barack Obama, and the leaving of another very progressive president, George W. Bush, not quite as progressive, obviously, as Barack Obama. I realized that I needed to do something. And I've always been one of these kind of people that, like to read and just kind of focus and educate myself. And then I realized that I was doing a disservice by not sharing the information. So Lanterns was that vehicle, if you will. Lanterns came from my vision of Paul Revere riding through the night and telling everyone that the British were coming. And I felt like I needed to be Paul Revere. And it was, and that's why my Twitter handle is Paul Revere Again, and my Facebook page, you can go find me at Paul Revere Again. That was the whole premise, was that I was going to do my best to be one of the many Paul Reveres in this new movement of freedom and liberty. And, of course, I met a lot of really great people, and it was really a focus on trying to dig up as much information as possible and share it with the world. And I had reached out to others and gave them an opportunity to come on Lanterns to share the message as well, but it really wasn't a platform that was widespread and well-known. Of course, from Lanterns Radio Network, which at the time was Lanterns of Liberty U.S., came a book that I co-wrote with Trey Roberts called Deus Ex Machina. And we also wrote another book, Emancipation Chronicles, Profiles of Black Patriots. And that, to me, was the pinnacle of my education, because I had never thought ever that I'd write a book. In fact, I told some people I wrote a book, and they thought I was crazy. I mean, I don't even know if I read a book in high school. I mean, Cliff Notes was the thing, right? But here I am. I had written some books. I had probably written 100 blog posts. And I was always searching for the best way to make Lanterns sharing that light. In other words, I wanted more than just one lantern. And I felt like I was just one little lantern in a very big dark room. So what I really wanted to do was try to bring people on, but I just couldn't figure out a way to do it. And then I realized that I needed to have a voice that was louder than just a blog post, because I found that my writing style, and of course I don't have the best grammar. I felt like that speaking would be a better way to do it. And I was nervous as hell. Let me tell you, the first recording that I did was actually when I was doing a show with Trey called The Rock Worldwide Show. And I was his producer, if you will. I was kind of feeding him information, and I'd speak every now and then. But Trey had to take a day off one time, and I was like, I'll do it. And I think we did like a 3-hour show at that time, and I was freaking out. And I guess about maybe 20 minutes in, I kind of got my feet wet a little bit, and I got my groove on, and I was like, I think I got this. And so after that, I got introduced to radio in a way that I never thought I would. And then I started doing video podcasts, which I look back at some of those video podcasts. I was like, that was not entertaining at all. But they were very educational to not only me, but others. I did get some good comments, but they really didn't get a whole lot of play because they were very long, and they were video that was talking a lot about philosophy. And I had to figure out a way to become more entertaining. So that's when I got into radio, live radio, and I reached out to Wayne Dupree from War Radio, and he gave me an opportunity, and I thought that it was really, really cool that I was able to do this, and I just started practicing and trying to produce. So I guess the long way around the story is that I came to I saw that the way that War Radio was going, and it was really a big pro-Trump organization, and I wasn't really into supporting politicians full-throated. I've always thought that politicians were the problem in most cases. And so I decided that I was going to start my own internet radio network. So I said, what better way to be in the Lanterns Radio? At first, it was Arena Radio. I was thinking about doing that. And I said, Lanterns Radio Network, that sounds really good. And so the biggest thing for me is, how was I going to be able to differentiate myself from these other internet radio networks out there? And I didn't want to be a competitor. I wanted to be another one, and I wanted to be the best. So I'm going to get into this after the break. I want you to stick with me. If you have a question or you want to talk about something, 504-556-9696. We'll be right back after the short break on the Lanterns Radio Network with WGSO 990 AM New Orleans. I want to thank you for joining. I'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282, 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Thank you for sticking with us on the Battlefield. You're tuned in to WGSO 990 AM with Chris Pilier from the Battlefield Live radio program and Lanterns Radio Network. Want to once again, and I can't thank WGSO enough for the opportunity they've given me to air in New Orleans, my hometown. And I got to say, folks, I just love New Orleans. And right now I'm not living in New Orleans, but I live in New Orleans, if you know what I mean. In fact, when I got home for my long day of work, Barbara was listening to some New Orleans jazz, and it just makes everything just that much better. Folks, if you're interested in keeping in touch with me, as well as the Battlefield Live. There's many places for you to find us. And I know that I've talked to a couple of you out there that do not have access or you don't utilize the internet. And I can tell you if there's one reason to get on the internet and get a computer or a smartphone, it is not only just the Battlefield Live, but also Lanterns Radio Network. If you like the type of stuff that I've talked about, there's a lot of other hosts out there that you can find on Lanterns Radio Network that share similar views that I do and have similar ways of delivery. Of course, we do want to support our local terrestrial radio stations. So with the fact that if you do get internet access or an app like Spreaker.com, they got a pretty good app that has our podcast as well as Stitcher and Player.fm. Where's the other ones? iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play. There's a whole bunch of them. You can listen to them in between your favorite shows on WGSO and other stations out there. Lanterns Radio Network, of course, will be airing 24/7 coverage of all of your favorite talk, including conservative talk as well. And we got a NASCAR race show. Richard Long does a NASCAR race show, which is great. There's a local racetrack on the North Shore, and he does shows from the raceway. I mean, this is really cool. And you got to understand, I'm a NASCAR guy, and Richard came to us and asked us to start. And I was like, what do you want to cover? NASCAR? What? Go ahead, dude. I am there. So we got some exciting things that we're working with Richard. In fact, he's getting a truck that he's going to be traveling around the area with the truck. And we're talking about maybe getting a Lanterns logo on it. This is really exciting for me. You just don't know. I get all giddy about it. In fact, my son and I are working on a new project at the house. We got a 2004 GTO as well as a 2006 GTO, and we're restoring the 2004. If you can really restore a 2004, it's not that old. But we're having a lot of time. I'm a gearhead, guys. I love the gear stuff. And maybe none of you know that, but that's just one of the things that I love to do is tinker underneath the hood. So Lanterns Radio Network, I want to continue on. So the intention is that we are reaching out now. We've kind of opened the doors, and we're actively pursuing people that are interested in utilizing the tools in Lanterns Radio Network's website in order to be able to share their passion, share the truth, if you will. And look, you don't have to be a professional blogger. You don't have to be a professional broadcaster. Obviously, if you're just starting out as a show host, we're going to give you an opportunity, but we'll put you in a place where you can get your, I don't know what you'd call it. I guess sea legs or radio legs. I don't know what they'd call it. But we'll give you the opportunity and we'll coach you along. We'll try to give you some tools to be able to become better at doing this. At the end of the day, if you're interested in doing it, you can reach out to me on social media at Lanterns Buzz on Facebook and at Lanterns Buzz on Twitter. Well, there's a bunch of radio hosts and bunch of bloggers out there that we have been talking with and signing up. We're in the process of getting everything aligned. The lanterns.buzz website is a very sophisticated set of different tools that allows broadcasters to basically be able to produce their show. And that may sound like it's not that big of a task, but being the fact that I've been doing 2 hours of radio 5 days a week now for several months, it's very important to have an array of things to talk about. And if you all have been paying attention to this program for some time, one of the reasons why we have been successful in the Battlefield Live Radio Network, as well as some of our other hosts on Lanterns Radio Network, is the tools that we have available that allow us to archive all of our resources that we utilize to put together a content-filled program. So, for instance, if you listened to last night's show and you wanted to listen to it again, you go to lanterns.buzz, the website, and not only can you find the podcast from last night, but you can also find all the articles that I referenced. And so what does this matter? Maybe some of you are listening right now and you're like, all right, so Chris is going on and on about his little pet project. So if we're going to fix the country, folks, I would imagine that most people that are listening to this do not think that the current path that we're going down as a nation is not the best path, right? In other words, there's a lot of things that we need to do. Doesn't matter if you're a Trump supporter, doesn't matter if you're a Hillary Clinton supporter. The fact of the matter is that these two individuals are not going to be the one that's going to make the change that we need. And why should we expect them to? That isn't the reason why we elect these officials to go in and fix a bunch of stuff. We are the people that have to actually fix what's going on in the country. And in some cases, we have to actually have people that represent us in government to do that. But they are representatives, not leaders. We're not looking for leaders. This isn't Mao's China where we need, some holier than thou person on the pulpit that's going to tell us what we need to do in order to be great, right? We need to be able to tell our representatives what they need to do in order to be able to protect our liberties. The number one purpose of the government is to protect our liberties. That's it. They're not supposed to provide health care. They're not supposed to provide education. They're not supposed to be able to provide us roads and bridges and all that stuff. That's not what the government is there for. The federal government. Local governments we could talk about, because I believe in federalism, that the local governments can do things like that. And so how do we fix this? Well, that's one of the things that I definitely want to talk about throughout the next hour or so. It is, what's the plan? We talk about a lot of problems, but what is the path forward, right? So I want to go to the phones, and we'll pick up Brian in Metairie. What's going on, Brian?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Fantastic. It's bittersweet tonight, Brian.
It is, and I would like for you to tell Trey thank you very much to him for the team that y'all made, because y'all, on those days when I was in the wheelchair, y'all really made me laugh, and it was better than a pain pill.
We had a great time, and it was always a great show with Trey. And actually, he's probably listening right now at home with his kids and his wife, and he's serving his community. And I have nothing but utter respect for a man that puts down something that he's so passionate and loves because he wants to work in his church as well as his community. So yeah. I'm sure he's listening, Brian.
Well, you two gentlemen, what my grandfather used to call a man's man. It was someone with not just great character, but with stamina. And the days that we're living in right now, you got to have tough skin to make it for the decisions that have to be made, and they're going to be painful decisions. But it just seems like the population has gotten so used to the bridges and the roads and the federal money that they're willing to sit back and take what the government's dishing out now. And especially now that they see in the direction, absolutely without any question, the direction what they've chosen to go. And I think what's worrying them right now is they saw Mr. Trump down in Mexico, and he sure really did himself and those that have stood by his side well. He represented them very well. He fit the mold, and I don't even want to use the word mold. He looked so professional, and he looked truthful, and right. I would love to have been a fly on the wall with those two men talking.
I hear you. So, Brian, we actually got to go to break, but I want to thank you for calling in all those nights. And
can I leave my name with your call screener so I can give you my sources of information?
Absolutely. Do that, and we're going to go to a break, Brian, and we will reach out to you once we get things up and going in Lanterns. I appreciate you calling.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, Brian. Bye-bye. All right, folks, stick with us on the battlefield. We'll be right back after this short break, and we're going to get into more discussion about what we need to do as a nation in order to be able to fix this thing. We'll be right back.
Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Terms and conditions apply.
USA Radio News with Jules McKinney.
GOP nominee Donald Trump met with the president of Mexico today. Trump said they discussed the wall he wants to build, but not who will pay for it. The president of Mexico said that's not true, and he told Trump they will not pay for it. Former Mexico President Vicente Fox.
What he told Mexicans is that he likes us very much, that we are great people, that we are going to work together. That's not what he said all along the last 14 months.
Now, Trump is speaking in Arizona tonight. Senator John McCain will not be attending the speech. The senator's office says McCain will instead be taking some time off with his wife, Cindy, in Sedona. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is criticizing Trump and his trip.
You don't build a coalition by insulting our friends or acting like a loose cannon.
Clinton was also invited by the president of Mexico, but declined the invitation. This is USA Radio News.
I'm Sean Hare, the site director at ConservativeTribune.com. Conservative Tribune is one of the most visited news sites in the world, and the reason is simple. ConservativeTribune.com delivers edgy and bold commentary of the news every day. We are unapologetically pro-America, unabashedly conservative. At ConservativeTribune.com, we don't make apologies for who we are or what we say. If you're looking for more than boring stories and simple thought, visit ConservativeTribune.com. That's ConservativeTribune.com.
Have you been to ConservativeTribune.com? Now, this is one of the most visited news sites in the entire world, and the reason is simple. ConservativeTribune.com delivers edgy and bold commentary of the news. They're unapologetically pro-America, unabashedly conservative. At ConservativeTribune.com, they don't make apologies for who they are or what they say. And if you're looking for more than just boring stories and simple thought, you go to ConservativeTribune.com. That's conservative.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. Well, now we learn that Dennis Amaya Rodriguez, the illegal driving the party bus that killed 2 people on the interstate Sunday morning, had been cited 5 previous times for driving without a license, found guilty 4 of those times, also charged but not convicted with domestic abuse, was allowed to remain in this country and not deported, and now 2 people are dead. He should have never been given the keys to the bus since he was an illegal with no license. But he should have never been in the country in the first place. Anytime an illegal is picked up on any criminal charges or traffic charges or whatever, needs to be sent back home. We need to get tough with those that are breaking our laws. The results are devastating, economically, culturally, but also in our criminal justice system. This is a sad reminder that there should be no sanctuary for those who don't respect our borders or our laws. For more info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out Ringside Politics.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Thank you for sticking with us on the battlefield. Give a shout out to all of our friends over there in their chat room. We got Watson, RJ, and my sister Angie. Yeah, Angie, my sister. She's in there. Folks, if you haven't found us on Facebook yet, what you waiting for? Check us out on facebook.com/LanternsBuzz. We actually filmed this live on Facebook Live, every night, every show. And it just offers a little bit of different perspective. You actually get to see me, but you also get to see the Lanterns Radio Network studio. It's a pretty, I would say that's impressive. It's even impressive to me, even though it's my own workings, if you will. It took us many years to get all the equipment and get everything in line here. Of course, our radio runs out of our server out of the state of Louisiana. It's not actually in the state. It's outside of the state in a secret bunker somewhere that I can't tell you about. So one of the things that I've always been very good at for a long time, and I say very good at, been able to figure out and explain the problems that we face in society. But one of the challenges for not only just radio show hosts, but anybody that's involved in politics is trying to determine what the solutions are. And in coming from the belief system that our government, specifically the federal government, is there to protect our rights, it doesn't come naturally to look for solutions in the government, right? Is that to say that the federal government doesn't serve a purpose? Well, of course it does. Number one, it's to protect the rights of the people, right? And sometimes in order to protect the rights of the people, it has to secure the nation, right? That's the number one goal of the military, is to secure the nation. And then, of course, supporting our interest overseas. That doesn't necessarily mean that we get in bed with, crazy dictators over in other countries. But it does mean that we do have, as a global economy, we do have assets all over the world. And within reason, we have to understand how we support those assets. And I say that, I'm talking about on the assets supporting, it's more of a military piece. Okay, we went into we had 2 world wars that we're involved with. In order to be able to keep peace, we have opened and remained left bases open in certain parts of the world. Does that mean that we need to have a base in every country? No, but it does mean that we have to be strategic with our allies. We do have to determine what are our allies and what are our enemies. That's been one of the biggest problems over the last 8 years. Is that we haven't been able to figure out who our enemies and who our allies are. In fact, in many cases, our allies that used to be our allies have now become our enemies, and not necessarily them, them being enemies to us, but us being enemies to them, like the state of Israel. At least that's the way I look at it. We haven't been very supportive to Israel. In fact, we've Barack Obama has worked very hard, to me, I believe, to undermine the Israeli people. But, the solutions are really the thing that really needs to be discussed. And one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of lately is a lot of divisiveness, specifically within the right side of the aisle, if you will, as far as politics, within the GOP as well as within the conservative movement. With the rise of popularity with Donald Trump and his winning of the GOP nomination, there's been a lot of people that do not subscribe to the type of politics that Donald Trump is bringing to the table. In many cases, most people don't trust Donald Trump that fit into that side of the political ledger, if you will. In other words, you might call them never Trumpers. There's a lot of people out there that swear they'll never vote for Trump. There's some in the ridiculous, senseless side of the coin that would actually vote for Hillary over Trump because they are that against Trump. But that's, to me, is pretty ignorant, because there's no doubt that Donald Trump, at least based on the information that we have now, is a better candidate than Hillary Clinton. Of course, there's many out there that would think that, the enemy is better than the friend that you don't know, because you don't know what they're going to do. And in some cases, Donald Trump fits that mold because he's flip-flopped on so many different things over the course of his life. So the challenges that we have to find solutions are the most difficult challenges, because we have to come up with them with ourselves. We don't hire somebody to go Washington, D.C. and try to fix it all for us. We can't just simply sit back and have faith in somebody that they're going to go do the right thing while we watch television. We have to get engaged. Recently, I had a very profound experience in working with the Cajun Navy down here in Louisiana. If you're not familiar with what's going on down here in Louisiana, we just had a really messy flood. In fact, over the course of between August 8th and August 14th, there was 6.9 trillion gallons of water dumped into the Baton Rouge and area surrounding Baton Rouge area, and totally and utterly destroyed the area with floodwaters. And I personally was able to get out there and work with the community, trying to not only help people, but also spread the message of what is great about people in Louisiana and what they were doing. And, I didn't participate as much as I'd like to have participated in for a number of different reasons. And I, salute all the people, proverbially, of course, that were in the Cajun Navy, and now the Cajun Army, which is actually doing a lot of, demolition of houses that were flooded, at least the interior portions of the home. And what I learned is that, first of all, how good it feels to go do good things for people. It's a lot of work to go out there and to, in some cases, risk your life. At least what we were doing, we were out there in these boats in the Amite River that was well above flood stage, and there was no really a river. Everything was a river. You were going through people's front yards and behind people's houses, trying to find places where people were trapped, if you will, and not necessarily trapped inside of homes, but just couldn't get out, couldn't get to dry land. And for me, just seeing all the people coming together of all types, it was just really, really a special event to be involved with. And as tragic as it was, as far as property, I mean, there was 13 deaths, but the amount of property damage was unbelievable. The lives that this thing ruined was tremendous. And just to see the community come together was profound. And at the time when I was going through all of this, and I had been standing on the outside talking about what we needed to do as a nation at the local level, when I actually participated in it in a large way, because I have done things in the past, but doing it in the way that I did here, it made me learn so much that this is the way that we fix a country. And it was simple to me. It's like, all we have to do, we have 350 million people in this country. All we have to do is mobilize the country and the localities in order to be able to go do good things for the country, in the local community. And if we do that and we reach out together, then the people's ears are open to be able to talk to them about ideas. We can't shout at each other and get anything done. I get really frustrated when I see some of my friends that are big Trump supporters get to the point where they're belligerent with other people that aren't Trump supporters. And then I realize that what's happened is they've become the problem. And not that they don't believe some of the right things as far as principles, but what they're looking at is a person that's going to go in and save the country rather than them saving the country. I've tried to really not talk too much about these candidates outside of, the local, or I shouldn't say the local, but rather the news cycles and things that come out that I think that people need to know about. But you're not going to hear me come on our program and go on and on about Donald Trump or go on and on about Hillary Clinton. And quite honestly, these other programs that I used to go listen to, that's what all they do. It bores the snot out of me, and I can't stand it. It gets very annoying and aggravating to hear somebody going on and on and on as if they're in some type of cult, for someone that has had a lot of problems in both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to bring the solutions that we need necessarily. Is he going to bring some? Yeah, if he gets elected. Is Hillary Clinton going to bring solutions? I don't think she's going to bring any solutions. In some cases, some of her policies are not as radical as Donald Trump's, especially on trade. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, and I got a really good idea as far as fixing this country. It's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of political capital, at least on our part, in order to be able to make this happen. So stick with us on the battlefield. We'll be right back after the short break. Make sure if you want to talk to us, you can give us a call at 504-556-9696 at WGSO 990 Studios. And you're listening to Chris Pioye Battlefield Live at Lanterns Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger, cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
You've stepped onto the battlefield. with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, and I wanted to say hello to one of my fellow Lanterneers. Watson Prunier is on the phone. What's going on, Watson?
Not much, brother, not much. I am loving your show. I'm loving what you're talking about, and I definitely want to talk about what you were just talking about in the last 10 minutes about just the whole idea of this aggressive behavior of belittling people who do not agree with you. You know, Chris, at the end of this election, no matter who wins, you said it perfect. We are the people, we are the hands and feet that are going to be putting America back together again. And if we can't have a relationship, a respectful relationship with one another, divided we fall.
You're right about that. And you know, it's one of the things that's been kind of disturbing me is there's people that I used to have profound respect for. I'm having trouble trying to still respect them because I know they're not respecting me, at least what I believe. And, you know, while I may pull the lever for Donald Trump when that time comes, I'll have to make that decision at that point after I've been able to assess what's going to happen between now and Election Day. I am not going to sit by and not be critical of things of either candidate. I think that would be a disservice for me to just simply blindly follow someone as if they're my leader when they need to represent me. And in order for me to be able to let them know what I want from them, I have to tell them. And I don't understand how this has become so difficult.
Yeah, and it's really sad because, again, there's no room for dialogue. You know, I have quote-unquote liberal Democrats and progressives who actually have conversations with me now, that now I can actually have a conversation and we're respectful on both sides, that they actually even probe me with questions like Evan Bayh is running here in Indianapolis. And, you know, I think Evan Bayh is a dark horse for the Democratic Party. Like, if he ran, there's no way a Republican could win. I just feel that strongly about it. And she said to me, you know, well, if Evan Bayh or Ted Cruz ran, who would you vote for? And honestly, it stumped me for a minute because I was like, okay, this is very interesting because of the fact that I'd never gone down that road of thinking about, you know, my allegiances would be more to Cruz, but I would want to see a little bit more and weigh out those two different platforms. But again, they're not the ones fixing the problem. It's us. You know, the efforts that you guys are taking to actually rebuild your communities after all that devastation, they said grassroots, man. And the grass is burning because of, you know, like Trump supporters. You know, I've had more Hillary supporters who've been nicer to me than Trump supporters. It's disgusting, man.
Yeah, and I would imagine, you know, some of this is anecdotal. I mean, I've had some people that I knew were Trump supporters. They weren't proud Trump supporters that are willing to discuss the problems with the candidate. But we've gotten into this position where we really truly vote Republican Party line instead of, you know, trying to utilize the airwaves or the blogosphere or whatever mechanism that we decide to use, social media, in order to be able to tell these individuals that are running for positions in representative government on what they need to represent. And I think it just boils down to the fact that we have gotten to looking at these presidents as leaders and having more power than they really need to have, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's scary because we never want to get to that point where we're ascribing all of this energy and hope and focus into these candidates. And we, like you said, we sit on the couch and we do nothing. It's like, what are you doing? Like, because, you know, I get annoyed when I hear these black stars, NFL players, whatever. You know what, Kaepernick, do whatever you want to do. But if you really want to make a difference, Colin Kaepernick, why don't you take some of those millions that you're making and build centers in your community where there are blacks who are struggling? Build community centers and hire teachers who are out of work so that they can help the disenfranchised Americans get a better education and be more marketable rather than, you know, just sitting on the couch collecting assistance from the government. And that goes in line with what you said earlier about providing solutions. See, and that's the problem. For talk radio, we basically sound the same as every other place, but no one is offering solutions and walking through with those solutions. And that's where we just have to be different.
And you're absolutely right here. And Watson, we just got maybe just a few more minutes. Where is it that people can find you? Because look, folks, Watson is one of the many voices on Lanterns Radio Network. He's been around since the very beginning of Lanterns Radio Network on the radio side, and I'm always blessed to have him on the program. Where can they find you, Watson, on social media and all?
Oh, you can find me on my website at www.battle4freedom.com, as well as you can find me on Twitter at @_battleforfreedom.com, as well as on Facebook. You can see our battleforfreedom.com, or even see Watson Prunier. The pages are out there and available that you can hook up with me, and I'll be glad to talk to you if you want to have a dialogue.
Awesome. And you're doing Sundays now, huh?
Sundays. My goal is to do Sundays at 8 p.m. CST.
8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Awesome. Well, Watson, I want to thank you for calling, and it's awesome to have you on board with Lanterns Radio Network. It's really cool, and I think we're going to do great things.
Thank you for the privilege. I mean, honestly, I just agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, man. I think if we're going to do this, we've got to be different. We just can't sound like everybody else. We have to have a unique voice that's going to draw people and bridge gaps. Because I think that this whole political process has burned a lot of bridges, and we have to build America again, one bridge at a time with American citizens.
That's good stuff right there. That's Watson Prunier, folks, from Lanterns Radio Network. All right, man. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. So, very interesting point that Watson made there, that there's a lot of bridges burned. And I believe that. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that I used to be able to have good conversations with that may not, be in the same boat with me right now because of the political divide between the people that are hardline Trump supporters and those that are very skeptical like me. So stick with us on the battlefield, folks. We're going to actually go to another break, and we come back at the top of the hour. I want to get into some of the specifics on how we can fix what we got going on in the country. So stick with us on the battlefield. We'll be right back after this short break. You're listening to Chris Pioye, Battlefield Live on Lanterns Radio Network and WGSO 990 AM. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is Jeff Crouere. Join me at 7 a.m. till 11 for Ringside Politics with a Punch, right here on WGSO 990 a.m. New Orleans,
Hi, this is Adam
Louisiana.
Hi, Mom. Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book? Hi. Sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at Understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to ditch the car and start rollerblading to work.
I look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous!
You don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your organs on the black market.
Lie back. This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, that hurts.
You don't need to rent out your apartment to drifters.
I made a fire with the wood in your bedroom.
That's my dresser!
And your closet door.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. I want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield tonight. And we are talking about solutions tonight. I know that sometimes we talk about problems all night and what's wrong with this and what's wrong with that. And you know, it's one thing to talk about the problems, another thing to talk about the solutions. And, of course, it's easier to talk about the problems. Solutions are not always easy, especially when you come from a place where you believe that the government is not the solution, that it often is the problem. You know, in going to, you know, your town hall and telling your local officials that you need to reduce their power is often a hard message for them to swallow, because they believe they need more power in order to be able to do the will of the people. At least that's what a lot of them think. So this brings about some of the, you know, the clashes between conservatives and liberals, or progressives and conservatives, whatever you want to call them. And conservatives is a broad term, as well as liberals and progressives are. So being able to define those things are very, very important. And that's often the discussions that we have between groups that support, say, Donald Trump and people that support maybe like a Ted Cruz or a Marco Rubio or a Jeb Bush. So what is conservatism, right? We've talked about that a lot in the program. I'm not going to get into an in-depth discussion about those particular politicians and that topic, but I do want to mention that, I truly believe that the solution is not in Washington, D.C. I mean, hell, if we complain about anything a lot, it's Washington, D.C. And I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative. We looked at D.C. as the problem. But the definition of insanity is you find a problem and you continue doing it, right? So why is it that the country has always been seen as a great nation around the world? This is not something that just came up recently. Of course, we've had our problems. We've had issues with slavery and Jim Crow and all these different things as far as racism. I mean, we've had people that have led the country down the road in the wrong path. And, there's no doubt that we've had our problems. But we could also say that one of the first countries in history to be able to eliminate slavery was the United States. In many cases, folks, slavery still exists around the globe. And the United States is going through a lot of turmoil to get to a place where we've eliminated slavery here in this country. In fact, we've done more to try to rectify those dark days in our history that I think we've surpassed the place where we need to be. And it's a guilt thing. I think and the thing is, I do believe there's politicians out there that capitalize on the guilt. I'm sure if you dig far back in my history, you may find slave owners. And I'm sure that many of you listening, you'll be able to dig back and you'll find slaveholders. We just had our friend Watson Prunier on the program. He is a Black American. I imagine that you could dig back in his history and the people that he's affiliated with as far as his family and so forth. And I would imagine you'd find slaves. But yet, Watson and I can get on the battlefield of ideas and we can put those differences and those problems in our past behind us because we know that the solutions are not in the past. Our solutions are in the future. That is progressive. What you hear as progressive now is not really progressive. In fact, it's regressive. You see, progressivism, the aim of progressivism is to put us back to tribal nature, our tribal nature. In other words, they want to group us and put us in different classes, black, white, male, female, Hispanic, Asian, all these different labels they want to put on us. Why? Because they want to separate us and pander to us. What they can do for us, what rights they can give to us. Oh, you're a Black American? Well, we'll represent you because we're going to go to Washington. We're going to get things done, and we're going to get you stuff. To the uneducated person out there, and that doesn't matter what race you come from, quote unquote, or what gender you come from, or what sexual preference that you may have. At the end of the day, whenever you hear a politician tell you that they're going to go to Washington, D.C. and get something for you, our reaction should be, that's not your job, pal. Your job is to go to Washington, D.C. and make sure that people don't take things from me or take my rights away to give them to somebody else. So if you're going to go to Washington, D.C. and you're going to get something from me, that means you have to take it from somebody else. These things that you're going to come bring me, they don't exist in a vacuum. That's like a money tree that you go pluck off stuff to provide me items and things and rights. And if you can provide me rights, Mr. Politician, that means you can take them away. I don't want to give you that power. That should be what our reaction is. And that's not anything that's new. That's not some kind of new revolutionary thought by Chris Pilier or the members of Battlefield Live. or the people that are involved in Lantern's radio network. These are things that were outlined not only by the founders, but the people that were prescient in the brilliance of America, that represented ideas that birthed America, that lived long before America was born. People like John Locke, people like Montesquieu. And these individuals are who we have to learn from. And that's where the solutions lie. In order to be able to have solutions, first and foremost, we have to educate ourselves. I've said this for as long as I can remember. When I started the very first day of Lantern's radio network, of course, at the time it was Lanterns of Liberty, I knew that I had to illuminate the light for myself before I was able to illuminate the light for others. I had to have the fuel. I had to have the fire. I had to have the oxygen to be able to set that fire to brighten that very dark room that I was in. And so I brought things like books and videos and speeches. Folks, I can't tell you how many speeches that I have that I've listened to over and over again. Ronald Reagan's speeches, listen to Ezra Benson's speeches. He was an agricultural secretary, I think, under FDR. Or was it FDR or was it Eisenhower? I think it was under Eisenhower. Fascinating speech delivery. Ezra Benson. And I was able to educate myself in a way, not just on substance as far as historical preference, references and so forth, but also in principle. Lantern's radio network is built around bringing together ideas so that we can learn. And not only can we learn, but we can also share. The platform itself, the programming in the website is built in a way that makes it very ideal to share content. Not only can you put content there, but you can share it to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google, and so forth. And so the idea of Lanterns, we had to put it in a way that was technological. We had to have the idea of Lanterns be manifested in something tangible, something that you can put your hands in. And that's what the lanterns.buzz website is. So learning about all these principles and then sharing the principles, then it brought to the point, all right, so I'm learning and then I'm sharing what I've learned. So how can we apply these things? One of the things that I learned about in doing all my research is in a book actually called The 1,000-Year Leap. And I was at the Greater New Orleans Tea Party, and I think it was either Mary Cass or someone within the Tea Party Patriots or the GNOTP rather, Greater New Orleans Tea Party, that said, you got to read this book. And I was like, okay. I said, I'm not really a big reader, but I'll read it. This is the very beginning, right? So I read the book, and it blew me away because it told me why America was great, why we were great in the first place. How can we make America great without knowing why America was great in the first place? America is great because Americans are good. And when Americans stop being good, America stops being great. It's a very simple principle. And then we have to define what is good. That's the hard part, especially nowadays in this moral relativity vacuum that we live in. With Hollywood saying, well, just because you don't think it's right doesn't mean it ain't right. Just because you're white and you grew up in suburbia doesn't mean that you know what right is inside of a slum or a ghetto in the inner city. So right and wrong are relative, and that's what's eroded the country. Another thing that's been eroded is our power at the state level and at the local level. Bringing back the power to the hands of the individuals in our localities, in our communities, in our counties, in parishes here in Louisiana. We call them parishes. In our state. So So that is the key, is trying to figure out how to return this power back, how to unplug a lot of these tentacles that reach out from Washington, D.C. all across the nation and the world. How do we chop off those tentacles, the Leviathan that's strangling us? If you read Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, it's a pretty interesting read. It talks about the utopian world. Kind of goes along with the Communist Manifesto, or maybe even Plato's Republic, or even Thomas More's Utopia. These are all books that I've read, or publications that I've read, pamphlets in the term of the Communist Manifesto. Read these things, educate yourself on what they mean. They'll tell you what's wrong. In some cases, people believe like utopia was a euphemism for what doesn't work. But if you read it, it's almost like a map of what is being put together in these tyrannical countries around the world. So how do we bring the power back to the states? We're going to talk about that here right after this short break. So please stick with me. If you want to follow me, you can go to lanterns.buzz. You can also follow me on Twitter at Paul Revere again. Reach out to us. And if you want to call, feel free to call at 504-556-9696. I'm on the battlefield, so join me, the battlefield of ideas. You're listening to Chris Piolet, Lanterns Radio Network, WGSO 990 AM. We'll be right back.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com. Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282, 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
You've engaged into the battlefield with me, Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live radio program, WGSO 990 AM. And unfortunately, folks, it's a bittersweet night in some cases. This is going to be my last broadcast on WGSO for now. And there is so much that I have on my plate with Lanterns Radio Network and other things. Having to scale back. I've been doing 10 hours of radio for quite some time, and I'm going to be scaling back a little bit and putting some more effort towards helping some of the other voices out there. I can't do it myself. As much as I love to get up here and talk, I have to be able to help others illuminate the truth as well, and it's going to take a lot of work. If you're interested, folks, if you're listening to this and you're interested in getting engaged, and look, being engaged is a lot of ways to do this. There's people within our organization. They have people that are really good at grammar, and they volunteered to edit. There's people that have wanted to share their writing skills, and they're bloggers. We have others that have great voice with baritone, and they decided that, you know what, I want to start my own radio program. Chris, how can I do that? Well, we're going to give you the tools with Lanterns Radio Network. And we'll even help you get your content. We'll show you places to get to content. We'll show you how to do video. We'll show you how to do, how to work in social media. There's so many things that we have, resources that we have, that if we stop simply trying to be the next best competitor, that we actually go out there and share this information with others, we can be a united force to fix the country. We can't do this without being united. We can have disagreements. We don't have to agree. In fact, it's great to have people that you don't agree with. That way you can contrast your ideas. That will only make your opinions sharper. That'll only sharpen you. And if you're both that differ, if you're both honest with each other on the battlefield of ideas, those ideas the good ideas will be cream of the crop. They'll come to the top, right? I'm a poet and I didn't know it. So this is our challenge. Let's work together. If you want to write, if you want to be a broadcaster, if you want to learn, Lanterns is the place, folks. You don't even have to. Part of you participating is simply reading sometimes, learning a little bit. And we're a content-driven site. We build content. I put 10 articles a day inside of this thing, not writing myself, but sharing. If you go to like a place like Drudge, you're getting regurgitated articles. It's neat how he puts them together. Drudge is pretty good at that. Lanterns does it as well, but we also add commentary if we want, with the links to the articles, things like that. Then you got podcasts and blogs, video. So we're opening up the doors, and we're going to do something different that nobody else is doing out there. Yeah, there's other radio networks out there. There's other blog sites. Yeah, there's a lot of people that do it. But we're going to do this differently. We're going to be reaching out for people to get engaged, and we're going to help them get engaged. We have a lot of very experienced people on the battlefield of ideas, right, that work within Lanterns Radio to make Lanterns Radio a great place. But we can't do it ourselves. In some cases, being a participant is just being a social media warrior, sharing the truth. In a lot of these programs like Facebook and Twitter, they have algorithms that block the truth in some cases. Why? Because in some cases, politics is not fun. It's not entertainment. There's some entertaining aspects of politics. I enjoy it. But a lot of people are afraid to get engaged with political situations because they were told when they were a kid at the dinner table that when you grow up, you don't talk about religion and politics. What has that done to society? Do you think John Adams sat around with Abigail at the table and said, you know what, we're probably not going to talk about politics tomorrow. It's just offensive. And religion, we're not going to talk about that. Of course they didn't do that. In fact, that's what they did. They didn't have television and radio. All they had was books. John Adams was famous for saying something to the effect, and I may paraphrase, is that he had to learn philosophy and science so his kids could learn art and music or something to that effect. And I think that we've regressed with progressivism. We've regressed And we have to get back to doing the dirty work. We can't just sit by and watch television and go pull a lever once every 4 years and expect the world to be changed. We got to make the change that we want. And unfortunately, for me, I mean, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go do my day job. And when I get home, I don't get an opportunity to spend, 5 hours in the evening with my wife as much as I'd love to. I'd much rather spend time with my wife than spend time on the radio, as much as I like the radio. But I have a duty. As Americans, part of your duty is not necessarily just going into the military. That's a great way to serve your country. That's, to me, is the most honorable way to serve your country, to put your life on the line. But it's getting to the point that doing this, speaking freely, or at least trying to, is becoming more and more dangerous. I never thought I'd ever carry a pistol everywhere I went, but I do legally, as I've been trained to do, because I know that there's people out there. I've received death threats. I know that there's, those elements out there that could not like what I have to say and want to take me out. You can't help but take it seriously. So it is a duty to do this. It's not as honorable as, going to Iraq or Afghanistan to serve the country and protect our freedom that way. But by me speaking out, I'm protecting our freedom. So if you're not capable of joining the military, you can still have and serve the country by talking about why America is great in the first place. So Lanterns is that. I'm trying to make it to where, with the help of many others, I'm not the only person. I'm just one. Trying to get it to work in a way that empowers us. We got to be empowered. It's really hard to be empowered with the megaphones of Fox News, the megaphones of MSNBC and ABC, CBS, ABC, and all the others. Did I say that one already? It's hard to do that. They got a huge megaphone. But if we get enough voices, my one voice along with another voice, will be pretty loud. And when in times of darkness, if my light along with your light and other lights out there, the truth, eventually will light up the room. And they'll see us. And then they'll see the truth. And it's not going to be the truth from a white guy or a truth from a black guy or truth from a woman or even a truth from someone that's transgendered. It's going to be the truth. That's it. We got to get rid of the hyphenations. That's why you'll never really hear me say, unless I slip up, you'll never hear me say African Americans. They're not Africans first. They're Americans first. If you want to identify yourself as a black individual, that's fine. You're going to be called an American black from me, unless you're not American. We got to get rid of the hyphens because the hyphens are intended to separate. That's what they're there for. Even grammatically, they're there to separate, right? So why would we want to separate ourselves? If we are so invested in being diverse, but yet at the same being unified and equal, then why do we hyphenate ourselves? We got to bring people together, and we can't do that by yelling and screaming at each other. If you're in the GOP and you're screaming at somebody else in the GOP, that doesn't make the GOP any stronger, folks. Civil discussion and debate is where it's at. And that's where it's at Lanterns Radio Network. So check out the website, lanterns.buzz. We still got a little bit more to talk about in that respect, as long as some of the other current events. And if you want to call me, 504-556-9696. We'll be right back after the short break on the battlefield. You're listening to Chris Piolle, Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Best pillow in the world.
USA Radio News with Jules McKinney.
GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump is making a major speech on immigration tonight in Phoenix, Arizona.
Countless innocent American lives have been stolen because our politicians have failed in their duty to secure our borders and enforce our laws like they have to be enforced.
Meanwhile, Arizona's Sheriff Joe Arpaio says Mexico will pay for Donald Trump's border wall one way or another.
They're going to have to pay anyway. I'll tell you how you do it. You take away their foreign aid and take that money and build a wall. Very simple.
He spoke before Trump's immigration speech. The sheriff of Arizona's Maricopa County praised the Republican nominee for accepting an invitation to visit Mexico's president earlier.
Have you been to ConservativeTribune.com? Now, this is one of the most visited news sites in the entire world, and the reason is simple. ConservativeTribune.com delivers edgy and bold commentary of the news. They're unapologetically pro-America, unabashedly conservative. At ConservativeTribune.com, they don't make apologies for who they are or what they say. And if you're looking for more than just boring stories and simple thought, you go to ConservativeTribune.com. That's ConservativeTribune.com.
Geico presents a voicemail from your friend, Water.
Hey, it's me, Water. Look, about what happened in your apartment with the broken pipe. I just wanted to apologize for ruining all your stuff, and I hope this can all just be some me under the bridge someday. Oh, and also, I'm not paying for anything. Okay, bye.
Water never pays for water damage. Luckily, the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting coverage a snap. Visit geico.com to see how affordable.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. Well, now we learn that Dennis Amaya Rodriguez, the illegal driving the party bus that killed 2 people on the interstate Sunday morning, had been cited 5 previous times for driving without a license, found guilty 4 of those times, also charged but not convicted with domestic abuse, was allowed to remain in this country and not deported, and now 2 people are dead. He should have never been given the keys to the bus since he was an illegal with no license. But he should have never been in the country in the first place. Anytime an illegal is picked up on any criminal charges or traffic charges or whatever, needs to be sent back home. We need to get tough with those that are breaking our laws. The results are devastating, economically, culturally, but also in our criminal justice system. This is a sad reminder that there should be no sanctuary for those who don't respect our borders or our laws. For more info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out Ringside Politics
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Thank you for sticking with us on the battlefield. Give us a call, 504-556-9696. You're listening to Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, WGSO 990 AM. And we still got some time to discuss my last half hour, folks, on WGSO radio. It's bittersweet, but we got some great things that are coming around starting on Monday. I'm going to take a couple days off. And so if you're looking for me tomorrow, I won't be here. I'm going to take some time off, spend some time with my wife. I got my son. I'll be seeing him on Friday. We're going to work on the car. I'm going to relax a little bit this weekend along with some of the things that we're going to be doing for the launch on Monday for Lanterns Radio Networking Stream. The website's there, lanterns.buzz, and the radio stream will be available, I believe, at 1 a.m. on Monday morning. So really excited about that. And got a ton of things that we still need to talk about. But before we do that, we'll go to the phones and talk to my good friend Tony. What's going on, Tony?
Hey, Chris. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, good. Oh, I was just listening along as you're traveling along here. And I'm thinking about something you say. You're talking about America. America's good because its people are good. And, I've read a lot about history and things and stuff. I can't say I've covered everything, but I got to say thanks to the Internet and so much that's available. But I really got a problem with a long bit of history of America. And something I brought up with Trey a while back is the idea of white people around the world. I got to wonder why did God... And I'm going to put it in that context. Why did God allow white people so much domination over everything in a large portion of history, especially from about maybe the 1500s, 1600s, especially after Columbus came to the United States? And places around the world, I don't know what it is. Why is it that was allowed? And white people have done a lot of bad and they've done a lot of good. And there just seems to be a conflict. And then when you look at America and you look what people came here and what happened to the Indians, man, and some of you even got some religions who thought very, very much of the founding fathers were no good. That even the traveling preachers who preached across the United States through the 1800s, decadence was everywhere. Filth and dissipation and it was wild. And when we move into the 20th century and, oh my goodness, the invention of the movie theater and film and the decadence gets worse and worse and worse. And at the same time, there's people that give and do good things and all. And how can we say America's been good when in some ways it has, but at the same time, there's this convoluted history that it.
So do you? Let me ask you this: Do you believe that America is great and America is arguably the greatest nation in history? Would you say that?
I would probably say yes to that. America has been a good nation. It has been one of the better nations in history than many of the others.
And what is it that you think that has made it that way?
Christianity.
Okay. I would agree with that as well.
Right. But guess what? You can have 100 people out of 100,000 that can make it better. Remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. God says, "Can you find me just 10? Just 10. I'll save it. If you find me just 5, I'll save it." The thing of it is that you can't. Sometimes maybe we don't realize that sometimes 5 or 10 people can do a lot of good in the hands of God.
Right. So I guess what I have trouble with, and maybe I misunderstood the premise of your question, but I find that the trouble starts when we start to take our spectacles off, our truth glasses, if you will, and we put on a lens that actually looks through the lens of race. I find that that's where our trouble starts. And while we may say that, America was great and it was founded by European, white, Caucasian descendants, at the end of the day, that's not why America was great, because of some kind of race that's been put on us. In fact,
I don't want to imply that, Chris. I'm not trying to imply that white Europeans were great and they came here and they did that. But guess what? In the mix of the thousands that came here, there were obviously good ones, and that the premises on such things that were built were foundations of Christian Judeo values and things that formulated things. But then at the same time, we have the wickedness and evil of men hovering in the United States all the time.
Right.
And we go through centuries of it here now. Even to now, it is still a nation that has its good sides and it has its evils and wickednesses.
So let me do this in the I guess in the theme of Lanterns Radio Network and Lanterns. I want to thank you for your call, Tony. I'm going to build on that. Okay, so I'm taking that light from you because that is definitely you have some truth there. And I want to read a quote from de Tocqueville from Democracy in America. So check this out. I sought for greatness and genius of America in her commodious harbors and her ample rivers, and it was not there in her fertile fields and boundless forests. It was not there in her rich mines and her vast world commerce, and it was not there in her democratic Congress and her matchless Constitution, and it was not there. Not until I went into the churches of America and I heard her pulpits flame with righteousness did I understand the secret of her genius and power. America is great because America is good. And if America ever ceases to be good, she will cease to be great. I didn't make that up, folks. That was de Tocqueville. And it comes out because I've read it so many times that it's just natural for me to say. So when I hear someone like Donald Trump say he's going to make America great again, let's make America great again was Ronald Reagan's statement that he needed our help to do that. Donald Trump is saying, make America great again. We can't make America great until we make America good. And in many cases, as Tony's articulated here, we have a lot of things that has devolved us as a nation from being good people. So this is one of the things that we have to continually talk about is what is good, first and foremost. What are the things that perpetuate things that are not good? Why is it that we are thrust into situations that have moral conflict? And is morality relative? No, it's not. The fact is that the United States sits as the pinnacle of Western culture. Western culture was built with the backbone of biblical scripture. As a biblical worldview, the founders put in place a constitution that protected the purpose of the nation, which was outlined in the Declaration of Independence. And that purpose was outlining a vision that was inspired by biblical principle. Federalism is a reflection of biblical principle. Now, if you are not a person that goes to church every day, does that mean that you can't be a good American? No. But getting in your communities, which in often most cases is your church, and working within your community like I did recently with the storm, you'll realize that that is where the real progress is made. Not through federal government, not through D.C. So the solutions that we talk about, how is it that we can get this power back to the community, into the hands of the people in the local areas? How do we allow them to mold their schools? And how do we get them to mold their infrastructure and mold their healthcare system? How is it that we give them the input that they deserve to be able to make change in their community the way they want to do it? Why is it that people in Omaha are paying for things that people need in New Jersey? And why is it that people in Syracuse pay for things that people need in, say, Oregon? It's because we've been sold a lie. And we need to refute that lie. And then once we were able to prove to people that that is the wrong path to go down, then we have to put together the pieces in order to be able to bring it back home. And we're going to do that here in the last segment of the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And if you want to call me, 504-556-9696, and you can tweet me at Paul Revere again, or reach out to me on Facebook at Paul Revere again. We'll be right back after this short break.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating.
Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Thank you for joining me on the Battlefield. Last segment on WGSO 990 AM for the Battlefield Live radio program. It's bittersweet. I want to thank everybody, WGSO, and I'm going to take my last phone call from Phil the Patriot. Hey, Phil, let me have it, dude.
Hey, listen up. I'm really going to miss you, and I liked your show from the very beginning, and I really believe that everybody out there, if we seek the face of the Lord and turn away from our sins and get out there on the battlefield, shows like yours, and love one another like the people on Baton Rouge, we can still save our country. So wake up.
Gotta love Phil the Patriot. I'm gonna miss talking to old Phil. Well, we'll never know what the future holds, folks. We always may come back, you know. So final thoughts here on WGSO. To me, I think that one of the things that I've always believed in is that if you don't exercise your rights, you will lose them. And of course, I never do anything half-cocked, I guess you could say. So I've gone full out in expressing my First Amendment rights, and I'll continue to do that. And I'll do that to my dying breath. And hopefully it comes naturally. It doesn't come at the back end of a gun. Oh, man. So, one of the things that we got to do, folks, if we're going to bring things back home as far as power, I truly believe that the answers were given to us by our founders. And as a last message to everyone tonight, I implore you to look to Article 5 in the Constitution in order to be able to bring the power back to the people. It's interesting that Article 5 was actually, in some cases, the last stop. That's the way the founders looked at it. It was the last stop before revolution, another revolution. They believed that this was the last thing that we could utilize in order to be able to prevent violent revolution here in America someday down the road. That's the way they looked at it. And the thing is, it's really interesting how how Article 5 was put together, and the fact is that we don't need the federal government at all to change the federal government. Article 5 gives you the ability to have a convention of states and to be able to come together in states and determine the change that needs to take place with the federal government. Mark Levin put an incredible book out called The Liberty Amendments. I implore you to read it. He details, I forgot, I think it's 10 amendments or 12 amendments to the Constitution that include things like term limits, not only for Congress, but also for the Supreme Court. Things like you have a year to publish a bill or something to that effect before it's passed, so you have enough time to read the damn thing. There's certain clauses and provisions in there in times of emergency, but he's got some really, really, really good ideas, and I think this is the path we need to go. I honestly think the federal government is out of control and will never get control of it. I've lost hope in the idea that Congress or a president or the Supreme Court is going to fix the country. I truly do think that the powers that be are trying to bring in multicultural groups into the country that do not subscribe to freedom and liberty and representative government. I believe that a lot of people that are coming into this country are being brought here in order to be able to overturn the representative government we have, in order to be able to install a type of democracy. Yes, we're not a democracy, folks, as much as they like to tell you. We're a representative republic. And the fact of the matter is that the immigration, the way it's being done now, is people are coming in and they're not being, first of all, they're not being checked before they come here. And secondly, when they get here, they're not being assimilated into the culture. So I think that Article 5 is the path that we have to go down. And I'm leaving that for my last message because that's the biggest solution. That is the best solution. There is no better other solution than to be able to give the power back to the states. Embrace federalism. So my message to you with just my last few minutes is that first and foremost, you have to get engaged. If you listen into the radio, it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair, to my friend Brian. It doesn't matter if you don't have the resources and you deliver pizza for a living. It doesn't matter if you are not technologically savvy. There's ways to get engaged. Calling a radio show is a way to get engaged, but not just sitting back and listening. You have to get engaged. Educating yourself is one. That's the first step. But then you have to use your voice. You have to use your skills in order to be able to share the message of liberty and freedom. I implore you, I challenge you, if you're not a technology person, if you're technologically challenged, I challenge you to get engaged on the battlefield in a different way than you're used to. Challenge yourself. You'll be fine. You'll be amazed at what you find. It's not all virtue there in the internet. I can tell you that for sure. But there's a lot of really great things. There's a lot of convenience. Lanterns.buzz, our website, is going to provide a ton of tools. And I know that some of you that are listening to this program are researchers and you enjoy researching. That program that we built, Lanterns.buzz, the website Lanterns.buzz, which is Lanterns Radio Network's website, is a database full of content. Most of the posts that I write are references for my radio program. I'm not necessarily writing them as blog posts for other people. I'm writing them for myself to be able to reference during the show. My content-driven show is driven by the database on Lanterns Radio Network. I'm not some super smart, brilliant guy. I just have resources at my fingertips. And I happen to be able to leverage technology to do it. And we're building a system to be able to help not only you, the consumer, if you want to look at it in a free enterprise type of way, or if you're a collector of information or a researcher, Lanterns Radio Network can help you with that. So you got to get engaged. You got to, in any way that you can. If you are a technologically savvy person and you want to get engaged with social media, share our network. Share the Battlefield Live. Share the other hosts that are on the network. Let this information get out. We surround them, folks. I've heard radio pundits say that before. I think it might have been Glenn Beck. We surround them, and we do. It doesn't mean that we have a lot of pushback from the people that we surround. But the fact is that we make up a large portion of the population, and if we just simply work together and not fight each other, we can make positive change in the country. So go to lanterns.buzz, our website. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/lanternsbuzz. You can follow me on Twitter at Paul Revere again and at LanternsBuzz. And you can also follow me on Facebook at Paul Revere again. You can find our podcast on Spreaker.com, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Player.fm. And you can also find us on Google+. All of these different places you can reach out to me. So this doesn't have to be the last night. And I'm really thankful for all of you that have given the loyalty to our program. I want to thank my wife, my lovely wife, that's put up with me doing shows 10 hours a week. Put up with and my son. I want to thank my son who has given me such joy in my life. He's really truly one of my best friends. Father first, but he's a best friend. So thank you for joining us on the Battlefield, folks. This is Chris signing out from Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live, and I want to say goodbye to WGSO 990 AM. Later, Tater.